Let's see. I think, what year was it? Oh, yeah, it was 2014. I remember it well. A news story broke, and Aaron read it.
Beloved Seattle TV and radio host John Curley perished in a seaplane accident in North Lake, Washington early this morning. Curley became a household name in Western Washington as host of Evening Magazine between 1995 and 2009. Evening Magazine won several Emmys with Curley as host and was one of the most viewed local television shows in the country from 1998 to 2005. Celebrities have been showing their condolences on Twitter all morning. Actor Tom Hanks writes, F. John Curley. Curley is survived by about a dozen ex-wives and an untold number of children.
Wow, was I shocked to learn that I had so many ex-wives.
Yeah, we added that.
Yeah. Wait, you threw that in there?
Yeah,
The reason we're talking about this is because I happened to notice it the other day. Somebody had brought it up, and I wanted to bring in the scoundrel that printed that thing. So Calvin Corder you're much older now, and I assume wiser. Why did you do this? Because you do this with a lot of different stories with the Kitsap reporter.
Yeah.
What's the thought behind that, and how much do you hate yourself for it?
First of all, thanks for having me in.
Sure.
And I've come to repent for my sins. So I will say I am genuinely very sorry for anybody out there that read that and is now traumatized, or really thought that John was dead and had a bad day because of that. So I am.
Can I tell you right now?
Yeah.
Nobody called. Nobody lamented. There was no one. I thought for sure that people, would just be, rendering them their clothing and in the streets rioting. But there was nothing. No day of mourning. Nothing from it. But why? But this wasn't just me. You were doing these sort of fake news stories before people were doing fake news stories, right? Before Mark Zuckerberg was putting out fake stories as well. So why in 2014? And what was the point of the whole thing?
So in 2012, I'd say it was kind of like the early days of social media.
Yeah.
There wasn't, Facebook was like the Wild West, and all the boomers were getting on it. Pretty much, this was like maybe a few years after they had stopped only allowing college kids on there. So everybody was getting on it. There was no restrictions. And I'm sitting there. I think I'm like unemployed at the time. It was like I was 28, 27 at the time. I'm just sitting on Facebook all day long, and I'm watching some of the dumber people I went to high school with posting these like obviously fake articles. They're just blatantly fake, and I was like, oh, I think there might be something here. So like I said, unemployed, sitting on Facebook all day. I start writing a few articles, build the website, and I think like overnight it was kind of like locally like a mega viral thing.
Were you shocked by that? It was called the Kitsap Reporter. I assume it's no longer in business.
No. It only had a year or two run there. But yeah, it's been dead for 10 years. So I'm surprised I'm doing an interview about it a decade later.
Slow news day. Let me ask you this. What did you learn from your experience of, I can just put anything out there and nobody fact checks anything. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't take it.
Yeah, I mean, we build ourselves. Me and some of my friends that helped collaborate on it, we build it as like a satire news website, right? But it really wasn't satire. I mean, you can just put out a headline that's fake and then bury a joke somewhere deep inside the article and call that satire. We would do some legitimate satire, but it was mostly just like prankster journalism. We put it out there with a malicious intent behind it.
Is it because you weren't that funny and couldn't come up with funny things? It was just easier to go malicious?
I think, yeah. So you got to keep posting. I think I was posting like 2-3 articles a day. And you just run out of ideas. Some of those articles were actually, I think, pretty good. We did one. We like to pick on Bainbridge a lot.
Yeah.
Bainbridge Island, like hyper liberal, very lily white. So we put out one. It was what was it? It was vandalism on a local synagogue of like words of encouragement, something like that. And it was good. And sometimes those smaller articles that didn't go as viral, way more gratifying than some of the some of the ones that actually did go.
Yeah.
Just gangbusters and got
Right.
millions of
Well,
hits.
H.L. Mencken says no one's ever gone broke underestimating the taste of the American people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you're a perfect example.
Perfect example.
I
yeah.
assumed it was 2014, you're 28 years old, you're unemployed. I assume you're still unemployed, the fact that you're able to come in here at this hour.
I have a job now. I'm gainfully employed, surprisingly.
Yeah. Your ex used to clean my teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as a profession, just a thing she liked to do on the weekends.
She's good at cleaning teeth.
I love.
Oh, God. I just got it.
All right.
I love that you doubled down because Seattle Weekly reached out to you, I guess, shortly after the article was published, and you said that the beef you had with John Curley started back in 1994 because he made fun of your lisp in a class visit.
Yeah, I made that up entirely. Matt Driscoll, he just recently died.
He did, yeah.
He was a fan of the site. I don't know if he was really a fan. He did, but yeah, he reached out when he was at the Seattle Weekly. And I needed to give him something. I was doing this interview, and I just started making stuff up. I don't know what he expected.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what the weird thing was? After that article ran, I was home, and the phone rang a couple of times, and I didn't answer it because I didn't want to put the story out. I didn't want to, smash it, and because I wanted to see what would happen. Like how many people would come to the house or like friends, and how many people would text or write or call to see if it was okay. And I remember when I told Felix Pinal that I was doing that, he called me a sociopath. Because he says, don't you understand? People's real feelings are involved in this, and you're just doing it for your own ego gratification to see how many people like you. And I hadn't thought about it like that until a couple days later. But only one person came to the house at 10 o'clock at night. They ran in. I said to Lace, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? I feel so sorry. I heard about John Michael. I heard, is he okay?" She goes, "He's upstairs taking a bath."
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, I thought he died."
I remember you vividly saying this on air at the time, and it was dying laughing. In the meantime, I was getting like really nasty like Twitter mentions and direct DMs from like local journalists. Like Brandy Cruz was not
really
happy
mad.
about it.
Well, I'm going to test your knowledge of fake news.
Go ahead.
All right, since you are a purveyor, we'll make everybody. Joe, you're in on this one as well. Nate, if you want to play. So a little bit of fake news. You ready? Let's see. 1960, there was a device made in Canada called the Fruit Machine by Dr. Frank Robert. It would be able to detect if somebody were gay or not. True or false?
Well, Canada would be the one to make that. That is true.
The gay machine, the fruit machine. That is correct.
Wow.
It was a device. They would show you pornographic images, and then they would take pictures of your eyes, and if they dilated, they then assumed that you were gay, and then they would kick you out of a government job.
Yeah, it sounds like a Canadian thing.
Very Canadian.
Number 2, the gay bomb. This was made by the U.S. Air Force. Again, on a gay story. It would be dropped on enemies, and it would cause the enemies to turn gay, or at least to make them flirtatious and cause confusion. True or not, the U.S. government was working on a gay bomb.
What year was that?
This was 1970? 1970s.
Yeah, that's true.
That is correct.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
This one is also true, and it's just too dark. You want to hear it anyway?
Yes.
Oh boy. Project Sunshine. They were trying to figure out what the effects of radioactivity from strontium 90. It was a radiation, chemical. They want to see what the effects would be on the human body, but they didn't want to test on children primarily. So they didn't use they used cadavers from Australia and the UK. Those countries would agree to not allow parents to see their children's bodies because they would cut off arms and legs and ship them to the United States.
Good one, John.
And that is also true.
Wow.
Okay, on a happy note, congratulations to you, my friend. What are you doing now, by the way?
I got all day.
Were there any other stories that got you kind of in trouble or at least a lot of attention?
Yeah. We did one about
Joe, I'm playing the music to get him the hell out of here. Why are you keeping him around?
I needed this question.
All right, do you guys need me out?
No. Go ahead.
This is like I was hoping this would be like a victim impact panel where I'd have to like talk to you. It'd be like a crying mother and a quadriplegic in the corner.
We can get somebody.
God.
But yeah, no. I mean, if I gotta go, I genuinely am sorry for anybody that these stories.
No, you don't have to apologize. Nobody's reading that stuff. But just after somebody that was involved in the satire world and putting out fake news, what is your reaction to something like Zuckerberg today coming out and saying that he's no longer going to be censoring, there's going to be no more fact checks? What do you think now of the internet and social media? Your initial reaction, these are all the losers from high school. What do you think the evolution has been?
Twitter's getting pretty bad, like with the conspiracy theory stuff. On a serious note, like I like it. I love how stupid it is, but it's probably not healthy for society to have that as like, your primary media aggregator, the one everybody uses, and it just be loaded with conspiracy theories. But I don't know. Everything's got a way of working itself back. The community notes thing that Zuckerberg is pushing is probably a lot better than whatever moderation they had before that.
Right, because, listen, just put it all out there as opposed to having something suppressed. I've seen people with, bumper sticker philosophy. It's amazing. Every conspiracy theory I had has turned true.
I don't know. I would say probably some degree of community notes where it's there's no actual. The problem is like Twitter used to have like a massive moderation team of like 900 people, and they're all Bay Area libs, and they're all going to kind of have the same opinion on stuff. So, the giving moderation to the community is probably a better path forward.
The fact that somebody wants to get only their information from certain groups of people, whatever the social media outlet is, that's them just feeding their own bias and their own desire to have a perspective of the news that they want. And that's kind of what's happened. That's what's happened when it comes to mainstream media and then other social outlets. And until you change the economic sort of parameters, and you don't have an outlet feeding just the people that just want that type of information, because that's where they can make their money. If you were to be down the middle of the road, you wouldn't be as profitable. That's sort of my theory on that thing. And, the dollars drive the news and then drive the bias. No? Yes?
I came on here to talk about fake news, man.
Okay, goodbye. All right.
No, wait, can you answer my question? Yeah. The other one that was like that you caught the most heat for.
So we did a story that said Costco was going to start selling like bulk marijuana, and that one was maybe like millions of views, millions of clicks, millions of eyeballs, and the one I personally got in the most trouble for was that one. Their legal team like reached out to us and they sent us a letter and was like, no more of that. But that was the one I personally got in more trouble. And I think the most, most trouble I got, the most impact we had was when we said the Hood Canal Bridge collapsed, and it caused like a traffic backup in Shelton, Washington, because people were actually driving around from Port Townsend.
So you were just like the prankster kid in school, but did you realize what you did by putting that story out there and the pain that you caused my family and friends?
Let
me just 1 second, Mr. Funny Man. My aunt, who had God, I loved her. She taught me how to tie my shoes and fly a kite. We made cookies together, and doctor said to her, you got a bad heart. You got to stop smoking. But she loved the cigarettes, unfiltered. And when she read your paper, or whatever it was, I remember her last words as she hit the floor, "Oh my God, he's gone." It's funny because when I heard the same about her, I thought, oh my God, she's gone. So, anyway, thanks.
You are fake news.
There he is, the jokester from 2014. The man whose girlfriend used to clean my teeth.
Hey, Sarah.
Calvin Corder, who described me as dead back in 2014, and I'm almost there on this show.
I'll say this, man. I grew up a huge fan. I still am a huge fan of yours.
Even though I made fun of your lisp.
Yeah. No, but really, though, sincerely, though, I grew up watching, like, Evening Magazine every day after.
There you go, 7
every
o'clock,
day.
7 to 7:30,
Yeah.
Evening Magazine. Well, thanks for killing me off in 2014.
You're very welcome.
All right, where are you going now?
I guess back to work, or do you guys
Just
need
took
me?
some time off? Is that what you did? We're not going to let us say
It's a
where
short
you're working.
commute.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I know where you are. All right, you're out there flagging down traffic on Eastlake. All right.